the 6 individuals named in the ex parte motion filed on the 23rd of April are Adefowora, Olanipekun, Adefowora, Oluwanishola, Emmanuel Uko, Sheyi Oloyede, Aweroso, Otoru, and Chukwuebuka Erim. Now, EFCC sought the court's permission to arrest and keep the suspects in custody while investigation continue and possible charges are prepared. I don't know if this is going to be a solution to the fraud, but according to an affidavit that was submitted, EFCC said that it received information on the in April rather, about a fraudulent investment scheme involving these suspects, and the commission said that the fraud was carried out through ST Technologies International Limited in partnership with CBEX, and the suspects were accused of promoting CBEX, convincing people to invest in cryptocurrency through their platform while promising extremely high returns up to 100%. You see this CBEX matter, I don't even know where to start from. I think for me, before anybody can fall victim of this thing, you also must have some element of greed in you. I don't know how effective this would be, arresting these people, whether it is going to bring back $1 billion is a lot of money. And in this age of where things can just, fly, I don't know if it's going to be possible. All right, so I would move on to my next story. I think this is from the NDLEA. The CEO of NDLEA says the chairman and chief executive officer, that's Brigadier General Buba Marwa, had reiterated the agency's call for mandatory drug tests for corps members, describing the initiative as a preventive, not punitive measure. Speaking during a courtesy visit by the Director General of National Youth Corps, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, and the senior NYSC official to the NDLA headquarters in Abuja, Marwa emphasized the urgent need to curb drug abuse amongst Nigerian youth. The visit was confirmed in a statement that was issued on Wednesday by NDLEA. It says this is not a punitive action, he stressed. The goal is prevention, helping individuals become before drug use escalates into addiction. It was then citing data that the National Drug Survey had revealed that 1 in 7 Nigerians aged 15 to 64, this is very alarming, is involved in drug use. And the drug scourge continues to ravage our families and communities. There's no part of this country untouched by this crisis. So I think I will leave maybe this will be the video that I'm going to post today. I will leave my thoughts as to what I want to say. I will leave it, for the video I will post maybe on social media. There are so many angles to this. There's so many angles to this. At the point of testing, you're already too late, right? At the point of testing, it means that there's a problem already. So I'll leave my thought. I would go on my social media. You will see my response to Buba Marwa. Federal government retirees, right? Federal government to seize retirees' property over unpaid housing loans. So according to this report, the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board says it has begun the compilation of list of retired civil servants who have defaulted on the full payment of housing loans obtained. The head of Information and Public Bureau, Mrs. Ngozi Obiechina, disclosed this in a statement today in Abuja. She quoted the Executive Secretary of the board, Mrs. Salamatu Ahmed, as saying that the move was aimed at recovering mortgage properties from retirees who failed to meet their loan obligations. So, according to her, the memo remained public servants of mandatory requirement to obtain a certificate of non-indebtedness, right, to this parastater and the MDA staff multipurpose cooperative society as a precondition for retirement. The executive secretary said that the board would take necessary legal steps to repossess properties where applicable in line with the terms of loans agreements. She said this was in line with the provision of public servants rule issued by the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation. Now, I'd love to touch on this story. Why? Because I feel every single time, I've shared it here before where I said that I applied for a federal government loan for SME loan, right? I was really looking forward to accessing that fund to be able to expand some of the ideas that I have in my head for my business. And, you know, whilst in that office, some guys were claiming to say, oh, they would help me facilitate to ensure that my name is shortlisted or my company is shortlisted for the loan. And guess what? They're now asking that we sign an agreement where they take 12% of the total sum as their own, what's the word now I'm looking for, as their own commission. I didn't ask the simple question. I said, do you realize that this is a loan? He then goes on to say, Madam, now you're in Nigeria, we all know that all these things you don't need to pay back, you don't pay back. Everything that is government loan or government whatever, you always find that is where you find the highest default rate. Why? Because Nigerians are wired to feel like anything you take from the government is free money. And where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? You see, as long as we continue to accommodate nonsense and accommodate corruption, it will trickle everywhere. Because, hey, now you chop your own, myself, I'll chop my own. So this is what is happening. And you know what I say to all of these people? Because I told the guy, I said it just takes one correct head to say, you know what, enough is enough, we're not doing this anymore. All of you will be in trouble. And that's what's happening now. So many defaults. Why? Because they felt it is government. Now is what is happening. So I don't know what to say to them. I'm just hoping that, you know, they will be able to pay the loans, hopefully, you know, before their properties would be taken off of them. So I'll move on to the next story. Minister orders advocate mandatory running mates for presidents and and governors. Why would they do this thing now? Senator Itagiwa says that when you're already in the federal government, that there's no, we are all one. There's no, what's the word now? There's no women, male, female. So the Minister of Women Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, the lawmaker representing the Federal Capital Territory Senatorial District, that's Ireti Kingibe, the National Deputy Woman Leader of the All Progressive Congress, and several other stakeholders on Wednesday pushed for 50% representation of female in public offices. The politicians also urged the National Assembly and the political parties to consider adopting a bill where for every elected political office from the presidency to governor down to, down to the local government chairman, a woman is automatically considered for the position of deputy. It's okay. At least now you're beginning to tell yourself, this is where I belong, this is my position. I don't know what to say about this story, honestly, because, you see, that's why I said that a lot of times we contradict ourselves as women. When Senator Itagiwa said that statement about, what's her name, Senator Natasha, saying that, no, she's, you know, even though some people have said, I mean, she was misconstrued or whatever. I said it that, see, for as long as you continue to advocate for female seats, it means that there's a fundamental problem. It means that women are not recognized, you know, and women need to do more, right? So when you then come now to say you're advocating that mandatory deputy positions, then tomorrow you come and say, no, women also deserve a seat at the table. You people don't be talking from two sides of your mouth. Which side, you know, choose your struggle. You know, choose your struggle, because what gives that a female cannot be president? Why are you already talking about, oh, deputy? You understand? You see, that's why most times you are conflicted. A lot of women are conflicted. I don't know. This is me just saying my own personal opinion, but a lot of people are conflicted. You know, so I don't know what the problem is. Please, don't choose your struggle. If you want us to be fighting for deputy position, no wahala, then let us not say, oh, women deserve a seat at the table or women whatever. Let's not go there. Let's just say, okay, please, men, you are in charge. We just want deputy positions. I mean, that's what they've said. It was just funny to see. So I'll move on to my final story. This one is quite alarming, though. They said that 135,000 residents are currently living with HIV, highlighting the ongoing public health challenge in Nigeria's most populous state, that is in Lagos, right? The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, disclosed this on Wednesday during a media briefing to mark the second anniversary of the governor's second term, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. He says 135,224 residents are living with this human immunodeficiency virus, which is the HIV virus, adding that the state government has intensified awareness and intervention efforts by engaging more than 100 religious leaders as HIV and AIDS ambassadors. Well, good move, but please remember, should I say what I want to say? If you can't hold yourself, right, that is why you have protection, right? If you must, you have to be protected while doing it. We'll take a break. When we come back from the break, we'll continue the conversation on one-party system. Yeah, stay with me.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
So in the spirit of standing on a mandate, on your mandate we shall stand, in that spirit, a one-party system can bring stability and efficiency, but it can also risk undermining accountability, representation, and democratic values. The key question is whether the benefits of streamlined decision-making outweighs the potential cost to individuals, right? To individual freedoms and institutional checks. Now, some of the potential benefits of a one-party system: stability and efficiency. Yes, without the need for coalition, building of or opposition, negotiation, decision can be made very quickly and implemented effectively. So you see all the drama of going back and forth, you know, I mean, based on what we can see right now with our National Assembly, you see how easy the laws are just going. So when we have a one-party system, you begin to see things like that. Long-term planning as well. A one-party system can prioritize long-term goals over short-term political gains, instead of us having the headache of every 4 years, because already, immediately they were sworn into power in 2023. I believe APC already started planning for 2027. You know, if we probably had a one-party system, all of those things will be eradicated. It then gives, you know, room for actual governance, right? You know, so these are two things that I've mentioned. However, there are also potential drawbacks, right? Because again, one of the biggest things that we've seen, or the most obvious one, is that there will be some level of poor accountability. I wouldn't say complete lack of accountability. I would say poor accountability, because without opposition parties, right, there may be limited scrutiny of government's decisions and actions. You can't go and criticize your government. You have to align with what it is that, you know, the government is saying. And that is one of the biggest drawbacks that we might have when it comes to a one-party structure. Limited representation. So one-party system can also lead to a lack of diverse perspectives and representations of different interests. Now, when certain decisions were taken in the National Assembly. We saw how it seemed like if you dared to oppose the decisions that were made, you are an outlier. So you just, or an outcast, or whatever it is that I'll call it. So that can limit the ability to think far and broad, right? In terms of like, there's a challenge. How do we expand our minds to be able to see things, right? That's one of the drawbacks for it. Then also the risk of authoritarianism, right? Concentration of power in one party can also lead to an authoritative kind of leadership, right? It has that authoritarian tendency and suppression of dissent. If you were to give an example, interestingly, I was just scrolling through social media today and I saw an example of, one-party systems and how they just kind of painted how beautiful, it was working in certain countries. Example would be China, where the Communist Party of China has held power since 1949. They don't dare. So nothing like they waste money for INEC election, nothing like that. It's so interesting. And Singapore, right, where the People's Action Party, they've also dominated since 1959. If you look at these countries, right, both countries have experienced significant economic growth. They've experienced stability. But also they faced, of course, they would always face criticism regarding issues around human rights and limitations on political freedom, right? So let me even break down China, because I took my time to say, okay, let's focus on one of those countries and then break it down. So this China's one-party political system, it's led by the Communist Party of China, which is CPC, has had a profound impact on on the country's development, governance, and the society. Take, for instance, their political stability and long-term planning. Stability, the CPC centralized leadership has maintained political stability, avoiding the frequent leadership changes and policy reversals seen in some multi-party democracies. So you see, where one government comes in, does a fantastic job. The next thing somebody comes and just see what is happening in the US. You understand? I'm not saying one is better over the other, but I'm just saying that you can tell. See how as soon as Trump came in, the amount of signature that Trump has signed, it just tells you the complexities of multi-party structures, right? Where it just seems like, because I don't agree with your ideologies or whatever, or it might just be like a political rivalry or whatever, you just cancel and negate everything. So you see that, right? And because of that, that multi-party system, they start to have a lot of, instability. But with a one-party system, you actually have that stability. You avoid all the frequent policy reversals or changes that you start to see. Long-term vision, right? The system allows for consistent implementation of policies, like, for instance, in China, there's something they call the 5-year plan or long-term goals, right? Socialist monetization by 2035 and the Chinese dream. They can only have that when they know that, okay, this is a long game, right? I'm not in a what's it called, in a sprint. I'm in a marathon. And because I'm in a marathon, it's a different plan to get to my destination, right? So that is another, advantage for it. You are able to plan longer. Rapid decision-making as well. The absence of partisan gridlock enables swift responses to crisis. Infrastructure projects that they did during the COVID and the poverty alleviation programs that they had and the COVID-19 containment, in the early stages, you could tell is because, okay, this is the plan. And we saw it. I mean, everybody that is online, you would see how China just blossomed in that period, even though they were at the heart of the source of the problem, you understand? So, but they were able to take quick decisions. They were able to do a lot of things, you understand, because, they had that one-party structure. So political stability and long-term planning is one point, right? I'll move on to the economic growth and development. State-led growth, the CPC control over economic policy has facilitated massive industrialization, urbanization, and poverty reduction. They've lifted, now hear this, they have lifted 800 million citizens out of poverty since 1978. That's powerful. That's powerful. So they have strategic investments in their economy, still under the economic plan. The government directs resources towards key sectors. They don't just wake up and just do things anyhow. They are very targeted. So things around renewable energy, tech innovation, the high-speed rail that we are all seeing online and we are blown away, right? All of these things are happening because they have this one-party structure through their state-owned enterprises, right, and their industrial policies. China is able to make strategic investments in those core or key sectors that is helping their economy grow. Global economic influence also. China's state capitalist model has also made it the world's second largest economy, with significant leverage in global trade, right? There's so many things. Examples would be the Belt and the Road Initiative. See, if you just go online and read up on how the one-party structure is helping China, these are some of the things that you would see. Social control and governance, social stability is also one of the things that a one-party system can give. Right, CPC maintains tight control over dissent using censorship, surveillance. So example would be the social credit system and the legal measures to suppress oppression. Right? National unity. The government also promotes patriotism and suppresses separatist movements. Right? Example would be the Tibet and Hong Kong, right? So all of these things, they are doing it to prevent fragmentation of their country. So you are seeing that because it's just a one-party system, all that division, look at what is going on in Nigeria, right? Because APC is coming into power, or PDP is coming into power, or Labour Party is coming into power, all you see is division. That is when they will tell you that you are from Imo State. That is when they tell you that you are Christian, this one is Muslim, this one is serving Babalawo. They will start to bring in all of those things that fragments us, that separates us. Right? And as long as we are not united, as long as we are not one, then there will always be, a problem. We are stronger when we are united. So it just got me thinking, why don't we just adopt this, what did they call it? This one-party system? Because things like propaganda and ideology, it will be eliminated. The CPC, for instance, they have very heavy influence on education, on their media, the kind of culture to reinforce loyalty to the party and, of course, socialist values. So it's not just about this thing. So if you look at what they said about TikTok in China, you can't see rubbish there because they are very clear. They want everybody's head to be correct. You understand? So all these ideologies and propaganda, they have zero tolerance for it. So that's on economy. I'll move on to limited political freedoms and human rights concerns, restricted dissent. Now, this one, it is some of the downside, right? Independent political parties, free press, and civil society groups are heavily restricted. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I wouldn't know. But people like the activists, the journalists, lawyers, often, most of them, they face a lot of detention and censorship. So it's either you align or you just stay quiet. They face a lot of detention and censorship. So it's either you align or you go to jail. And report around human rights issues, reports, that's expressing, so many concerns that has drawn a lot of international condemnation. But China no send una. They no send una. They don't have competitions when it comes to elections. So look at all the waste. Let us take INEC, for instance. How much have we spent on INEC since 1999? Let's just calculate it. You understand? Because at this point, I mean, if for anything, 2023 election taught me that I don't think we need a democracy. I really don't think so. I don't think we need to be doing elections every 4 years, because at some point, you just get tired. Because if it seems like, everything you do, it is the results that they wish to announce, they announce, then what is the point? Moku just kuku accept, say, we're a one-party country, and let us just move on so that governance can happen, right? In CPC, for instance, in China, leadership transition occur within the CPC with no genuine, multi-party elections at the national level. Nothing like that. They don't have that time. That is cutting a lot of wastage out. Cutting a lot of wastage out. The governments, they invest heavily in AI. See what have happened. I think they said something around 7G. I'm not sure now. Or was it? Yeah, I think 7G or 5G. They invest heavily in data, quantum computing, military modernization. There's so many things that the Chinese government, in fact, in the next 10 years, they're already edging towards global power, right? They are neck to neck with the US wanting to take over this world power. And especially with this tariff thing that is going on now, it's even giving them a lot more muscle to want to take that power by force, right? But you see them, they're heavily investing in all of those things that is expanding their country and making them great. The Great Firewall, restrictive, in China, it restricts a lot of things like internet platforms, Google, Facebook, while promoting their own domestic tech giants. They don't have your time. So they promote Alibaba, they promote Huawei. Like, all of these things are happening because they don't have any opposition. So nobody will come and tell the government, say, no, it's China first. So that is why some have argued that if you see what Trump is trying to do, he's trying to put America first, sadly. And imagine if other countries would be intentional about putting their countries first. We are not saying that you're not going to trade globally with other parts of the world, no. But if you put the interest and protect the interest of your people first, it means that certain decisions, you promote your own first before you even think about an external body. And this is what China is doing. And they're able to do some of these things because they have a one-party structure. They have the centralized leadership that allows a cohesive strategy in diplomacy. They don't have your time. They don't have your time. Everything that they do, they are very strategic about it. And because of the one-party system, it allows them to just get the thing done. The one-party system also contributes to tension with democracies over trade, human rights, and geographical, geopolitical, competition. But that one no concern them. Because you see, everything that they're doing, what I feel the Chinese government is always thinking first is, how would this make me better than my counterparts? Right? So even when they condemn them on some of the things that they do and all of that, it really doesn't bother them. And because there is no internal fight, per se, within them, they are able to gather all the energy that they have and tackle the external part of the world, head on. China promotes its governance model as an alternative to Western democracy, appealing to some developing nations to also adopt suit. This one-party system in China has enabled remarkable economic growth, infrastructural development, social stability. Of course, there will always be a cost: political freedom, human rights, but all those things. At some point, it's just a narrative. If your people are living well, what thing concern human rights? If there is decency, if I see that there's active progress towards getting me better, I understand, because I know these human rights people, if they see this partner, they will come for me. But I'm saying that what we require, right? We require stability. We want to cut down cost on some of these political spendings that we do and channel that cost into governance, right? So China has given us a model. Social stability, even though political freedom and human rights and all this democratic accountability have been questioned, but it has also strengthened China's global standing. It has also created a lot of opportunities within the continent, the country, for their people. So yes, a lot of people will raise the questions around, some of these issues around liberal democracies and all of that. But honestly speaking, every country should look and see what works for me and then adopt it. So we'll go on a short break. When we come back from the break, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and we'll share more insights. Stay with me.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, the question is, would a one-party country give us better governance? Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also send us an add me on WhatsApp to add you via video. And our phone lines are not open, 07025007749 or 07014242420. Let's hear what you have to say. So, now let me tell you why we decided to say this topic, even if I've mentioned it before. So with the recent fears of Nigeria becoming a one-party nation, that is this mass defection, on your mandate we shall start, the mass defection to the APC, it is important to not just be a part of the, of course, fueling that negative narrative about it. Because, you know, if we really want to be serious, based on all I've said, let's really ask ourselves, has democracy truly worked for us? Look, we ask questions, right? As a nation, has democracy truly worked for us? You know, some have argued that we need something in between autocracy and democracy, right? In Nigeria, because they feel like Nigeria is not really ripe for full-blown democracy. And also Nigeria does not need full autocracy. So something in between is what people have argued to say, I think that's what Nigeria needs, which means that you are trying to tailor, you know, a style of leadership that works for your people and not just do the copy and paste democracy as it's been practiced, you know, in other democratic climes around the world, right? So that is the argument. That is what people have said. So whilst multi-party system prioritizes representation, accountability, checks on power, you know, we truly haven't really enjoyed the dividends of democracy in Nigeria. Let's be factual, right? Before I speak English, let's be factual. How well have we done as a democratic nation? So it just tells you that we need to really sit down, go back to the drawing board and reevaluate. Do we really need a democracy? What the president is currently trying to do, or what people are trying to do, you know, just because of the fear of 2027 and what is to come, what they are not sure of, you know, and then more massive movements from the PDP to, what's it called, the APC. People are saying that, oh, Nigeria is becoming a one-party nation. See, for me, I like to look and find solutions and look towards a problem and say, okay, you know what can be a good thing that can come out of all of this? Because let me go Christianese. Bible say all things work together for our good. So if everybody decides to enter APC, no wala. At least we know now to face them where nobody will be blaming opposition or no opposition. Then we'll just tell them that, please, can we just scrap INEC? You understand? No need for INEC anymore. Within your political party, let us go and examine all the people, you understand? You elect a leader. If the leader is not doing well, what's the word? What's the word they call it? Impeach the leader, put a new person. Because, you see, we have, you know, they said the definition of insanity is that we have done the same thing over and over again, and it seems like, you know, that's insanity. And we're expecting a different result. Whatever it is that we've done, we do it every political cycle. We do it every dispensation cycle. We've done it several times. From Obasanjo, we moved to, you know, to Yaradua, to, you know, it is the same old, what's it called, song that has been, that we're hearing, that we play every time. So why don't we try something different? I don't want to see this mass movement or mass exodus to the APC as a negative thing. If Nigeria becomes a one-party country, so be it. As long as governance happens and the people do not suffer, that's all that matters to me, Osayiwame. So ultimately, whether it's a one-party country or whether a one-party country rather would provide better governance, it depends on a lot of factors, right? As I've said before, the country's specific context, which is why we need to really sit down. Don't be part of this narrative. Hey, Tinubu is trying to turn Nigeria to APC. Don't be part of all that narrative, right? Think critically. And in the context of the unique challenges that we face in Nigeria, how much that goes into political, campaigns, the wastages and everything that goes into elections that we're not even sure about the credibility. Let us kuku just be a one-party country. Let's know where we are. So let it be somebody who just sit down and say, okay, you know what, it's your turn, go and lead. Then, I mean, do you understand? We need to be intentional about looking at our specific challenges within our country. So it is country's specific context, institutions, and our values as a people. It is essential to weigh the potential benefits and the drawback and consider some of the trade-offs that would happen between stability, efficiency, representation, and accountability, because at some point you must give up something. Maybe I will not be here again to talk on TV, but we are going to be having constant light, good food. There will no longer be insecurity. Who knows? If a one-party system will say, okay, shut down that TV channel, but you are going to be enjoying, why not? Do you understand? We must know what we are going to give up for it. But ultimately, I don't want us to see it and just look at it that, oh, it's a bad thing. No, I choose not to believe so. Because if countries like Singapore and China that, you know, are one-party systems, see what they are achieving. So the question would just be, how do we adopt that? Because come to think of it, a politician enters into power with billions, goes into the office. The first year, he's thinking of how to repay back all the gbese that he has incurred during that, the campaign and everything, before he then eventually gets the, he will now stabilize after one year. Then that second year, he say, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? He'll be, whilst he's still calculating what he's supposed to be, opposition is coming in another 2 years. So governance is suspended. Because guess what? Everything the politician is eating, sleeping, breathing is the next 4 years. Are we not tired? Right? So I would recommend some things, right? Something that are worthy of note. We must strengthen our institutions. We must ensure that we have, for us to be able to survive anything, we must strengthen our institutions, because as it is right now, our democracy is not working. But if we strengthen our institutions, we ensure that independence, you know, we have independence in our judiciary, independence in our legislative arm, some of our, checks and balances, so people like ICPC, EFCC and all of that, some level of independence, maybe it will help us. Press freedom. Not that you will say one thing today and the next thing you are in you are detained by DSS, right? Freedom. Robust checks and balances to prevent abuse of power. If those things are in place, right, it is possible that with a one-party system, we can survive. We must also foster transparency in decision-making processes, of course. Decision-making processes and government action. We must foster transparency. if we are not ready to push for accountability and transparency, then it might not work. We must also encourage citizen participation in policy making and ensure that their voices are heard. So as I've said before, if we have a one-party system, it's no longer going to be every 4 years you're doing election. No, you're going to be doing every 2 market days town hall. Okay, guys, what is going on in your constituency? What do you need? You know, what kind of policies will shape what, so we can all come together. So we are not completely autocratic. At the same time, we're not 100% democratic. But we're able to come together and say, you know what, I want to hear what the people are saying. We come together with our one-party structure, no wahala. Then what do we do? How do we align? What are your unique challenges? You create a document, create a policy, and of course your institutions will uphold it. We must also safeguard fundamental rights and freedoms. Freedom of speech, you know, must be respected. And, you know, freedom of assembly, freedom of protest, right? Not the one that you want to protest. They tell you that, if you come out, we tear gas you. We can't do that. You see, if we have this one-party system, let me tell you what is going to happen, especially with this freedom of assembly. When we are protesting, they know that it is not a, you know, because most times in Nigeria, once they just hear that there's a protest that's about to happen, they just tell you that, hey, my political rivals or my political enemies, they sponsored you. We're not going to hear those kind of transactions again. In fact, if that happens, what will we be talking about? Because we're not going to get too many things to talk about again for media. Because, you know, now it's always fight between Wike, between Fubara, between this. Look at, just take a look at our headlines. Take a look at all the things that I've been talking about since January till now. It's always one drama or the other, one drama or the other. So maybe if we just allow these politicians, you know what? You say you want to, lead for 10 years, go ahead. But we've put all these things in place, put all these measures in place. Perhaps it might just be the solution that might eventually get us to, good governance. You see, all my calling in this life, in Nigeria, the only calling that I have is to continue to advocate for good governance. Because I know the power of that good governance, you know, how it can impact the lives of millions. And it's not restricted to just a few people enjoying the resources or the wealth of many. See what China did. There was a fantastic video that I saw of a Chinese man analyzing what China had done over the years. So whilst you people were doing all the things, because he was talking about in addressing the tariffs and all of that Trump had, you know, imposed on China, he said all those things that you people were doing, sending your labor to China, sending this, sending that, Chinese government, they were with open arms receiving it. But guess what they did? They took millions of their people out of poverty. Millions. You remember there was a time in China you couldn't have more than one child because it was that bad, right? There was so much poverty. But see what is happening to them today. So I wouldn't really look at a one-party system or a one-party governance system like it's an all-bad situation. I don't think so. Because honestly speaking, if it is done well and if it is done with the mind of protecting and promoting the growth and prosperity of your people, then you would actually get it done. And it will not be a problem. So the question of whether a one-party system would lead to better governance, of course, is a very complex one. And it is also context dependent. As I've said, we can't use Singapore, we can't use China. The thinking pattern and the way the leaders in China and Singapore were raised, they're completely a far cry from how our leaders here in Nigeria were raised. And how their thought process is about, you know, so a friend of mine said something that she does interior. She used to say something like, she told herself that she would always put her house in such a state that whenever she goes out, first of all, she'll be hungry to come back home. And secondly, when she visited anybody's home, she will not wish that, that person's home was her home. So she took very good care of her home. Why? Because she wanted to come home and be happy. She wanted to come home and say, yes, this is my space, I own it. If the Nigerian leader takes pride, right? Just the way some of these Arab people, the way they are so proud, you know, they're so proud. You You can't joke with them. They want to, yes, this is our airport. This is our this. If we had a little pride in us, as Nigerians, not the one that you want to use to oppress people, or you want to show that you are better than this thing, local champion, but the kind of pride that says, you know what, no country will stand where Nigerians are standing. You understand? Because we are going to change the game. If our leaders had that particular mindset, a lot of things would be different. And it just takes a mindset shift to say, you know what, my country will no longer be listed among, horrible countries or horrible places to live in, right? So the question whether the one-party system would lead to a better governance, is a very complex one, as I've said, and it's also context-dependent. In this context, Nigeria, we have a long way to go, but it may seem that it would offer a lot of benefits from what I can see and from what I have, seen around. The power that China is wielding today is because they have one voice. They don't have anybody that anybody can go and betray, go and scatter it, you understand? In all this multi-party system, what you see is that some people go there to plant moles in those political... Look at what is going on in PDP. Completely destroyed, right? Because they were moles within the party. They were what's the word I'll call them? The Judas Iscariot. So in the spirit of Easter, those are your definition of moles, right? Judas is in every political party, in case you do not know. There's no political party today in Nigeria that a stronger political strategist, political party, does not have his eyes and ears inside that party. Why? Because as a strategic player, you must always put your eyes and ears in the ground. So it may offer, stability and efficiency, the issue around one-party structure, but there's also the risk of undermining, accountability and representation, and of course individual freedom. Look at what is going on in National Assembly today in Nigeria. Anything President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says, they say yes. The yes have it. There is no opposition. So that then begs the question. So when the president is trying to abuse his authority or abuse his power, who then checks him? Right? Nobody is questioned. And that's what, a one-party system can also become. So it then I think at the heart of all of these things, honestly speaking, it is humanity. If humanity is what drives your quest for leadership, then it will show in the style of your governance. It will also show in how you are governing the people and how you're projecting your country. So ultimately, effectiveness of governance depends on, striking a balance. You have to strike a balance between competing values and priorities. So it's no longer about a milocon, right? It is not that. That is not why you're there. You're there because you're there to serve as a servant leader. You're there to become, the person that, lifts millions out of poverty. You are there to become the person that we feel safe just because you are there, right? That should be the priority. That should be, it should not be about personal interest. And that's why I'll wrap up to say that most of this political cross-carpeting, at the heart of it, at the core of it, are personal interests. And that's why I am worried. It's not because they are jumping political parties that gets me worried, no. It's the fact that there is the underlying factor in all of this movement from one party to another is just personal interest. I want to make sure that I'm securing the next election. I want to make sure that I'm secure, I retain power in the next election, which is what I have said that maybe, let us start to really open our mind and reconsider a one-party system and a maybe one-time, long-term system where, we just cut off all of these, excesses that we always, promote during political seasons. Because now, political seasons used to be maybe a year to the political date, but now it's almost like immediately you are going into the seat of power, you're already thinking of the next election, which should not be, because at the heart of that suspends governance. So thank you so much for watching. my rant by myself. And let me know your thoughts. Do you think, you can also still leave your comments on the YouTube link or share, just share your thoughts. Do you think, we might just be heading towards better governance if everybody moves to APC? That's a question and a food for thought for you. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channels, .official or Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you missed the quote from our Indian brother, he says, our nation needs protection against complete dominance of parliament by one party, which could allow a tiny number of people to control everything, which is what we're seeing in our National Assembly here in Nigeria and some of our state houses of assembly. It is well. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.